So first things first, I should introduce myself. I'm Tina, I'm 35 years old, and in August 2023, I'm starting a dental hygiene program at a local community college to get my associates in dental hygiene. I guess you could say that I'm a college dropout. I definitely did go to college from January 2007 to July 2010, and I definitely don't have a degree. So I kind of think that makes me a dropout, right? But we'll definitely get to that in another video. This one is about everything you need to know before applying to dental hygiene school. The first thing you're gonna do is pick your school. And it's really important that the school you pick is coda accredited. Okay, the reason it's important that your school is coda accredited is because I'm assuming most states are like this. I know mine is Minnesota. If the school that you graduated from is not coda accredited, you're not even eligible to take the licensing exams to become a dental hygienist. So you've you've wasted your time and your money because at the end of the program, you can't become a registered dental hygienist. So down in the description box is a link to the coda website. And if you go on and select dental hygienist on the left-hand side, and also select the states you're interested in, you'll get a list of which schools in that state are coda accredited. And they also have a really cool link that puts you exactly to that school's kind of like dental hygiene page, for lack of a better word. If you're familiar with, college, if you've gone before, you kind of know like each program will kind of have like a separate page at the college. So going on the coda website is really the number one most important thing you do, no matter what school you go to, before applying to dental hygiene school. Now, second, when you're on the site, you're going to decide, do you want to earn a bachelor's or an associate? I'll be graduating in 2025 with my associates in dental hygiene, and I chose an associate's program over a bachelor's because when you are doing clinical dental hygiene, just maybe what a lot of us are used to, seeing your dental hygienist twice a year at your regular dentist, when you're doing that kind of work, whether you have an associate's or a bachelor's, you're still going to be getting paid the same. So it would have made no sense for me personally to get a bachelor's. That's not the only reason somebody would want to get a bachelor's over an associate's, just thinking that you might get paid more. There are a lot of options that you have with a bachelor's degree that you don't with an associate's. Now, since the pay is the same, you might be wondering, why would somebody choose a bachelor's degree over an associate's? And actually, that will be my next video that's coming out next week. For me, I decided on an associate's, especially being that I had already taken so many college courses. If I was going to do a bachelor's degree program, that was going to be 3, maybe 4 years. And a lot of those courses that I was going to be taking were going to be courses that I had already taken. Oh my God, how many years was that? Okay, a lot of years ago. It doesn't make sense to go for a bachelor's, especially because I don't want to do any of those things like research, or I don't want to be an educator or things like that that require a bachelor's degree, because I really just want to practice clinically. This is kind of what makes sense for me. Now, if I had never gone to college back when I was, 18, then maybe a bachelor's degree might have been something that I thought about, but I really never, ever even considered it. And another reason why you might get your bachelor's in dental hygiene, but just do clinical hygiene, is if you wanted to practice in a public health program or a school health program. Those type of positions, those type of jobs require an advanced degree above an associate. There's always the option of completing your associates in 2 years and then doing an online degree completion program or a bridge program where you can pretty much do everything else above your associates online. And again, I'll talk about that in my next video, just to kind of break down exactly what that is. All right, so after you pick your school, the next thing you want to do is look at the list of prerequisites for that. Now, if you're in high school and you're taking dual enrollment, or I don't know if they call them AP classes now. If you're in those classes, I really cannot stress this enough, your GPA is important, okay? So let me tell you a little story. In the fall of 2025, I was 17 years old and I was in high school, and I was in a dual enrollment college writing class. I got a C in that class. So summer 2022, last year, I retook that class. 17 years later, I retook a class that I originally took in high school because the grade I got was not good enough for what I wanted to do. I don't think I had a choice, right? When I was in high school, I didn't get to choose that I was doing AP classes or dual enrollment or just the regular classes, right? You probably don't have a choice now. I can't imagine. I don't know. If you have a choice, don't do it if you're not gonna put in the work, right? Because if I had put in effort and given my all, I could have earned an A, and then that would have been an excellent way to get ahead for sure. But if you know that you're not serious, it's really a waste of your time back then or right now if you're in high school. And it's going to be a waste of your time later if the prerequisites for the course that you want to get into require really strong grades overall or really strong grades in writing and or whatever course it was that you took and you earned a C. So take it seriously. And if you're not going to take it seriously, do what you can to not take the class, okay? Because literally 17 years later, I'm having to make up for my choices when I was 17 years old. Definitely, I'm going to talk all about high school and how I ended up here, 35 years old, about to start an associate's program in a couple weeks. So just stay tuned for that. So regardless of if you take, dual enrollment or AP classes in high school, any college courses that you take, keep in mind that your GPA is king. For dental hygiene programs, health science programs, most programs have a bare minimum GPA. The bare minimum at my college is 2.75, and I'm laughing because I've seen the GPAs that get in and they're nowhere near 2.75. They're way higher. The first time I applied, I had a 3.0 something, a 3.0, let's just call it that, and I didn't get in. So 2.75, that might be what they will allow you to apply with, but think again. Another thing that can be really important to look at when you're looking at those prerequisites are any courses that are not specifically required, but the school has kind of let you know that if you take them, they're going to give you more points. This is all going based on the idea that the school that you've chosen enrolls based on a point system. So if it is points based and taking extra courses is not specifically required, but that will boost your admissions, I would say definitely do that. In fact, did I mention that I applied for this program 4 times? So I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to everything you need to know before applying to dental hygiene school. But I will say that the 4th time I applied and the time that I got in, I took one of those extra courses and I got an A. So I mean, I don't know what it was about that application or the other applicants that I was up against that put me over the edge that time. But now going kind of back to what I was saying about if your program is points-based, that's when taking those extra courses might be beneficial. Now, some courses have requirements like, I call them extras, right? Because my program didn't have any of these. Things like essays, things like shadowing a dental hygienist, things like letters of recommendation. Some programs require special admissions tests like TEAS test or the PSB test or the HESI test. I mean, these acronyms are out of control. And like I said, my school thankfully required none of them. There's definitely schools that are in Minnesota that I've seen that do require these tests. So it is not like each state is, all the schools here don't require that. It's really, really specific and goes down to the school. So it really is important to look at the list of schools that are available to see kind of what exactly each one requires and what you want to do, what you can do. Because another thing that could be required for some programs, not all, but some could require you to be a dental assistant first. So if you are a dental assistant, that's a great program to apply to. If you're not a dental assistant and you have no interest in being a dental assistant, not the program for you. One tip, if you are kind of worried about where you stand, maybe you have a GPA that's not great, or maybe you're just curious, try emailing the person who's in charge of the program at the school you're interested in and ask if they can provide you with historical applicant data or the previous applicant pools. And this will have stats from either the people who applied or the people who were accepted. And it'll include things like GPA or their science GPA, specifically those chemistry, biology, microbiology classes, things like their non-science GPA, their cumulative GPA. It might even tell you how many people are applying for how many positions. For instance, my school, this year, there were about 130 applicants or maybe over 130, and there are 24 spots, right? And then if your school is one of the ones that requires one of those special tests, like the HESI or something, they might even tell you what people are scoring on those tests. So again, that just kind of gives you an idea of where you're at, and it can both ease your mind, it can kind of give you something to strive for. And in my opinion, it just makes it realistic, because even though I applied 4 times, after the first time I applied, I did get some of that info about the previous applicants. So I knew what the GPA in science was, cumulative, all that stuff. And I knew that honestly, like, I wasn't there. You know, like, a fact is a fact. Like, of course, the cost is important. And this also might be a reason why you pick an associate's versus a bachelor's. An associate's is generally going to be cheaper. I mean, if you find an associate's program that is more expensive than a bachelor's, let me know in the comments. Or, you know, vice versa, bachelor's that is cheaper than associate's, let me know, because I never heard of that. Now, when you're looking at the cost, you have to look at the tuition. You also have to remember that there's extra fees for instrument, association fee, licensing fees, examination fees, supplies, PPE. So it's super important to not get mesmerized by the base price they're gonna tell you on the website. Don't get shocked if you get into the program and if your costs are kind of like way more than you've ever paid, especially if you've been to community college before, or, you know, university. And I'll talk about that in another video, what it actually costs for the first semester of dental hygiene school. Stay tuned. So some of those association fees, right off the bat, I have to get a student membership to the ADHA, which is $65. So they're starting off right away, like, let's get these extra fees going. Let's get you, you know, used to paying extra. When it comes time to get my license, I have to pay the state of Minnesota about $125. I have to take 3 examinations: the national board examination, a clinical or hands-on examination, and a state of Minnesota examination. And I have to pay for each of those examinations. The instruments that you use during school, I have to pay for those, and the books that we use, I have to pay for those. And make no mistake about it, pretty much all of those things are expensive. So how do you pay for it? One option is scholarships. Definitely apply for scholarships. You cannot win if you do not apply. I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that you're gonna win $1 million in scholarship. I know people are talking about that. No. I was actually fortunate enough to receive a scholarship. It is $1,250 for each of my first 2 semesters, so for my full first year, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And in my video about the cost, I will kind of show you exactly how that breaks down, because it's not really as simple as like, oh, cool, you know, my instruments cost $1,500, you know, wonderful, I'll use my $1,200 scholarship for most of the instruments and it's, you know, done. It's not quite like that. Another thing is, if you have a job that you can work around being in dental hygiene school, which, by the way, dental hygiene school is in person. When you get into a bachelor's completion program, when you already have an associate's, that is an online program. But your associates, your bachelor's in dental hygiene, the first go round, no, that's in person. So if you happen to work for a company that both will allow you to work hours that are around, you know, dental hygiene schedule, and will pay for your tuition or reimburse you, definitely look into that. I mean, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. Do your research, make sure that you're taking advantage of the opportunities that are out there. Again, same as with the scholarships, like the jobs who provide these tuition benefits, they're not gonna really come and, you know, knock on your door and ask if you wanna work there. No, you gotta apply, you gotta find the company. And one thing to make sure that you're looking out for is some of these companies only allow you to complete your degree online. So going back to what I just said, since dental hygiene is an in-person program, if your company only allows you to complete an online degree, you know, it's not gonna work, right? And then another great thing to do is apply for the FAFSA. Another thing to do is apply for the FAFSA. Okay, another thing to do is to fill out the free application for federal student aid. And I put the link in the description. That actually opens October 1st for the next year. So October 1st, 2023, it's gonna open for the 2024-2025 school year. So I'm definitely gonna be on there filling out my FAFSA. Okay, I can't say it. I'm definitely gonna be on there filling out my application for next year. And for sure, go on there and fill that out, because filling that out allows you to qualify for those loans and grants. And so kind of all of those are ways that you can pay for college if you don't just have the money sitting around. Now, of course, if you're like a saving girly and you saved your money, I love that for you. I love that for you. You know, I really do. I'm jealous. I love that for you though. The next thing is, I think, something that is super important. Let's not pretend it's not. It's the pay. And in 2021, the median annual wage was almost $78,000. Okay? Do I need to say any more, honey? That is not chump change. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not in the $78,000 a year tax bracket. So median annual wage, nothing to sneeze at. And as far as the job outlook, from 2021 to 2031, the employment for dental hygienists is expected to grow 9%, which is faster than the rate for other occupations. FYI, if you were looking at the career of dental assistant, that job is projected to grow 8% over the same 10-year period, and the median annual wage is about $38,000. So speaking of dental assistant, you might be like thinking or wondering, well, don't I need to be a dental assistant first? Isn't it good if I'm a dental assistant first? No. I mean, when it comes to my program, they don't look favorably on if you're a dental assistant. They don't ask if you were a dental assistant. They have no idea. That's the way it is in my program. Now, there's another coda accredited program in the state of Minnesota that requires you to be a dental assistant. So it really is about which program requires what. And again, work smarter, not harder. If you are a dental assistant and a school gives you more points for being a dental assistant, or a school requires you to be a dental assistant, you know, why not go to that school? Because I bet the school that requires you to be a dental assistant is not easier to get into, but it's like there's a smaller pool, right? Because any old Joe like me, I can't go apply for that program. So I feel like it's easy. Not, again, I don't want to try to make it sound like it's an easy program. I don't know anything about being a dental assistant. I'm just saying it seems like you would have a better chance of getting into a dental hygiene program that only accepts dental assistants if that pertains to you. So that wraps up everything you need to know before applying to dental hygiene school. And I'll see you in the next one about an associate's degree versus a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene. Bye.